I mean, I would love it out there. It's fun to visit.
It's fine, guys, dude, I like the hayfields, I don't like the desert, I like the irrigated hayfields.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's pretty good. But I don't wanna go out there in the winter, and I don't wanna go out there in the middle of summer.
No,
Those are our participants? Or is that us?
that was us.
With the lag?
The room has some little quirks and shit to it.
Out of curiosity, who move into new days?
Yeah, we can bring it in a spot, but we'll find out soon.
Yay.
No, we're coming off the press, but.
Oh, the press, there we go, ooh, they are still working.
Oh, did we get rid of the long ones?
That's,
Thank you.
I have an extra copy because I brought mine that I printed and color coded, so I can just use that. I literally colored
Here's like,
it because I don't have a color printer.
here, there's a proper one, you've got a proper one. I got one more proper one.
This one can be recycled.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I thought I was like grabbing mine. I already made notes in this one anyway, so.
Oh, there you go.
You've got a copy, you've got a copy, you've got a copy, you've got a copy, we're live, okay.
We're ready to go.
Okay.
It's one for you.
Well, I don't know if I want to share.
I wonder if I had it too thick.
Sure.
There it is.
Yeah. Let's get going. Call
No,
an order
No, this one.
at whatever time it is right now.
Right, it's been put together.
Six.
Oh, wait,
6:07.
6:07.
Susan, got it.
I think I got two.
I got two as well.
It was overkill.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
My bad.
I'll take it back then and do mine up. All right, now we're going to go.
Sorry, a little too much.
I did it.
We're in? Okay.
We're in.
I can start?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everybody.
Do we normally do the pledge at the work sessions as well?
I don't think so.
I don't think we do, right? Okay. Just
Might
our
call
formal
me in
meetings.
order just for.
I did,
You did?
nobody was listening.
No, I got it, 6:07.
Yeah, Michelle and I got it.
That's all that's important.
All right,
Okay.
and we're gonna hand it over and you're gonna run this.
Well, congratulations on the successful board self-assessment. Normally I would have a slide deck, but as I was preparing your content, I thought, well, it's a short slide deck, and I really need to do that, and I decided, no, we're gonna do analog. So we're gonna kick it old school and just walk through the packet that you have. You've had this for, you had the full response version over the weekend, and then got fifth response yesterday, pushed that out, so you should have had a chance to glance through this. But before we dive into the report and look at the data, why is this important?
Just to know how we're seeing ourselves, because not everybody sees things the same way.
Yeah, to reflect on your own performance. Absolutely. And it's a board self-assessment. Why do we do it as a self-assessment?
We're responsible for and to each other as a board, and our individual assessments are handled by our voting constituents every 4 years, really.
That's much more eloquent than what I go. Who would evaluate you? It's true. We're evaluated by the electorate, but this is more about the technical aspects of board work itself. There really isn't anybody to evaluate yourselves. You guys are the experts in your community on doing school board work. And so you're the ones who can really dive into this. And that's why teaching what we call board governance essentials and then coupling it with this self-assessment is so important. So we skill you up on the technical aspects and then assess.
Have in your knowledge, any school boards ever brought in previous board members to be involved in, like, former people that have been on the school board, so they know the process, and they just decided not to rerun, or whatever, or voted out, whatever, but has that ever, in your knowledge, has that ever been done, or bring in former board members for advice, or whatever?
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Okay, just curious.
But it's an interesting idea. It's a bit of a bunny trail, but we're looking to hire consultants who may be former board members and superintendents
So,
to do training. So it's kind of the same sort of thing. The other is that you're setting an expectation on yourself that you're going to evaluate your own performance against a set of standards that are evidence-based. So this evaluation that you took is based on 12 standards that are aligned to behaviors and practices of school boards that have positive impacts on the students. So if you do the things described in the 12 standards that you evaluated yourself, you can expect that you will have positive impacts on kids, and that's academic outcomes, okay? But you're also communicating an expectation of continuous improvement. You're looking at yourselves and your performance and what you're doing, and, the camera's running. I mean, people can log in, and people know that you're doing this, it's a public meeting. And so you're communicating to the rest of the organization that, hey, we have high expectations for ourselves and everybody else in the organization. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Just generally, the work of a school board member is very on-the-job training. I mean, a lot of people walk into their position of being elected on the school board, and they have no idea what's going on. Whereas, I mean, some of us are involved in education one way or the other, and, I was a teacher for 19 years, and so I have a much better, when I came onto the board, I had a much better understanding of what goes on, but even I was never a board member before, so I didn't know, what all went on potentially in executive session, for example, and things like that, and some of the more overlying, planning and implementation of policy. I was in the classroom teaching students, so.
Yeah. Again, back to that point that you're the experts in the room. You're the ones doing the work.
I'm still wondering what we do as a school board.
Yeah, that helps, and that's.
We'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, I think we talked about, those were slides with questions that we would have been going through, but we skipped through all that. So let's just flip to this first page, the data page. And so the first question is here, what do you see? What is what's popping out at you?
Mostly developing and effective.
Yeah.
A little bit of ineffective, a little bit of accomplished. And it's always hard to pick those ends of the spectrum when you're evaluating things.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, but you would hope that a school board that is at least somewhat effective would have most everything in that blue or yellow cat, green. Again, the yellow developing, that doesn't mean you're not effective, it just means you're not consistently effective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think that was chosen, and was definitely some of these standards was chosen more than anything else, because it's hard to say, yeah, we've succeeded.
Yep.
But it's also, I would have a hard time saying, yeah, we're ineffective. So, it just depends on point of view, but.
Yeah. Other thoughts? What's popping out?
Well, there are a few of the standards where it does seem that we're relatively aligned in our grading. We might be, two, some that are effective and some that are developing, like standard 7, probably when you break it into the sub questions, there'll be some disagreement, but, pretty in alignment there.
Pretty aligned.
Standard 2 is pretty well aligned. And then there are a few like standard 11, where, we have a bigger swing in our scoring. So that's interesting.
I think we all agree that the budget and the financial people do a great job, because we all That's the biggest blue, and I think that means we've all agreed to the budgeting and accounting,
Well,
we're kind of
That
building.
cultural climate.
And that's one of the most important things, at least on the surface for the community, is are you managing our money effectively?
Yeah. And I mean, Jennifer has made it very easy for us.
Absolutely.
She's a very clear communicator, she's an excellent educator for us, and has really spent a lot of time teaching us what all the different things mean, answering the most ridiculous questions. So she's really empowered us as a board to be able to make smart decisions, because she gives us a lot of information, so
That's great.
I have to give her kudos every time that comes up.
Yeah. Sharp eyes, Ryan, that is the standard that you mark yourself as the highest.
Yeah.
Which I would say is a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
I would not want that one in the red.
And I like, did we mention standard 2 yet? Community engagement. I mean, I would hope to push more of that into the blue, but I think we try to do a good job of community engagement, especially in this last few years, trying to do more in terms of just trying to, get people to come in, whether it be to a, meeting with a couple board members or coffee or visiting. I know visiting schools isn't so much community, but it's still engagement and it's still communication that it will be heard out in the community. The board is interested in actually getting in the schools and talking to people. Because there have been some years where school board members were never in the building. Right. I mean, just never.
So as a trainer, when I'm looking at these, I'm looking for the green and the blue to come up over that 70% line. That's kind of the threshold I'm looking for. And if we know that we're under that, then that's an area where we have some growth.
So there's only two?
Yeah,
No, there's 3.
so you have,
7, 11, and 12 all have the blue and green go 70 or more.
Okay.
and let's see, what was the other one? 1, 2, and then your
And 9 is close.
7, yes. So, from my point of view, when I'm looking at these and diagnosing, because that's my job, I'm looking at core standards. Now, core standards for us are standard 1, then standard 4, which is accountability, first one's vision directed planning, accountability. Then there's some debate between standard 7 and standard 5. Arguably, you could put standards 4 and 5 together. And then the other 2 are 11 and 12. 11 being kind of that core skill set for being on a board, any type of board, and then that fiscal management one. What I'm really happy about this data is what I'm seeing is that you're scoring yourself high or above 70% on standard 11, standard 12, and standard 7. And standard 7 is super important because it's really hard for me to teach you that. If you guys can't work well together, if you can't foster organizational culture, it's hard to teach you that. It's just something that kind of comes
And
bigger.
the culture and climate, that's just within the board as opposed to.
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
That's organizational culture as well.
Okay, that's my good question.
So we're gonna go through these.
Okay.
So we've had a conversation. So the other thing that's standing out to me is all that yellow is telling me that you have high expectations for your own performance. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as, we want to get better at what we're doing. And that's a good thing. So I see this as a really positive, really effective self-assessment. I get concerned when I see green and blue all over the place. That's where it's congratulating themselves. And then it's telling me, we don't have room for growth? I bet not. I bet there are problems.
How does this match other districts this size?
Pretty typical.
Yeah,
I would say this is so an array of where your strengths and where you mark yourself lower. So your top ones were 11, 12, and 7. Your low ones were standard 2. Standard 4, standard 11, and standard 7.
say,
Oh, no, it's innovation and creativity.
So say, yeah, 10 and 5 look like they're the really sort of.
Yeah,
lowest
10,
ones.
5, and 4 were the ones that you scored yourself on.
Yeah.
So, I'd say this is pretty typical. Most boards are fairly comfortable with board roles and responsibilities and fiscal management. Typically. Not always, but typically. So this, I would say more frequently, I see more red. You know, there's one or two board members that are frustrated and angry. Now, I'm not seeing that here. Also, I'm seeing a high score on, relatively high score on standard 7, which tells me it's a fairly cohesive board. You guys get along, you can work together, you can get the work done, okay? So I'm not seeing red flags, I'm just seeing work that you guys can do. No red flags. Okay? So let's walk through the standards. So we'll start with your strengths, which is standards 12, 11, and 7, and then we'll walk through areas per group.
So we're gonna jump around.
Yeah, we're gonna jump around. So we're gonna jump all the way to the back to standard 12.
I don't think that's a fair statement. Standard 12 is not our strength. We've accepted the word Jennifer.
Well, that's a really good point.
So, yeah, yes.
That's a really good point.
Standard 12.
Yeah, but we approve for stuff.
Which is so easy.
Which makes it important to say yes,
But that is not our strength. That's not a fair statement.
the strength of the district,
I agree.
and therefore
It's a
it's
standard in the district, and it's, the bar is set, so if she left, poof, disappeared, and you got a new fiscal officer, you would still be expecting that level of performance. And so, that expectation is baked into the board.
And we can make changes to what is in the budget. And we can say, well, we want to spend more money on this thing and this thing, which it might be less efficient, might be less responsible, might be, you know, we have our little pet projects that we want funded, we push for them, and there can be so much political infighting on stuff like that with finance and with budget, that you can have school districts that get way out of whack, and then all of a sudden there's a budget shortfall and things go to hell. So, no, yeah, I mean, clearly, it's the office, the district office is doing great, but we also, monitor it to make sure that things don't go out.
Yeah, you do, you're making sure that we're not having a slush fund on the side.
Right.
So, in the way that we check for those sorts of things is question 84, board reviews monthly financial statements provided by the superintendent and understands the role of oversight of the budget. We had one person who said that was developing. Does anybody want to cop to that?
I don't remember. To be honest, I honestly don't remember. I think I probably.
Tractor, my wife was on the phone and she's asking questions as I was just in the field, so.
It's awesome, it's really cool.
But he got her done.
I can't wait to tell that story, that's
I'm
awesome.
pretty sure I voted effective for that one, but
That's awesome.
I might have voted accomplished. I don't know.
Okay,
I think that's just the only one I truly gave the accomplished to.
okay.
I think.
So you guys are reading
Yeah.
your financials.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them feel that the client is comfortable, but for overall, the board's doing well on tracking the district.
And sometimes questions like that, you might get in your own mind, like, well, do I really understand what's going on with the
Right.
budget? And if you don't feel you understand, you might vote in that developing category.
Yeah,
So-
because it is subjective.
So here's the test on that. Do you feel comfortable asking questions of your fiscal officer?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you're fine. If you always feel comfortable, they're not guarded or like not wanting you to answer questions, that would be a red flag. Did you have a good relationship with your fiscal officer?
Absolutely. He's great.
Not a lot to talk about here, this is an area of strength. Okay, let's pop back to 11.
11 starts at 71.
All right, let's see. A lot of check marks here. Anything popping out from here? I gave you a smiley face on question 74. I don't always get to do that. That's the board members preserve the confidentiality of items discussed in executive session. You would be surprised. The variation that might be seen. I'm really happy to see this.
I'm really happy to see that too.
That's important.
I think it's essential.
It's a lot important.
Yeah.
That and Virginia truck. There was a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about question 73 and 75. This is kind of, I just put question marks. So 73 reads, board members represent the interests of the entire district. And then 75, board members now use their office for personal gain or advancement. And we had a couple people saying development on these. And I was just curious, were there any thoughts in the room on that?
Well, interest in the entire district, that could definitely be, I mean, I think I probably voted effective on that, but you also, there's always members of the community, for whatever reason, that feel left out of the conversation, feel like they're not being represented, and it could be because of their socioeconomic status, it could be because of there's lots of reasons that you feel like maybe they're not, represented well enough by the board or the district.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, that's when you say the board members represents the interests of the entire district. I'm sure there are some people out there in the community that don't feel their interests are being represented.
Well, this is a board members reflecting on the individual member, not on how, the
Right.
districts feel necessarily.
I don't remember how to answer this. I was going with Joe when I read this, so when I look at this, I'm going, board members represent the interest of the entire district, but we don't know what the interest of the district are because we don't have a lot of involvement with them. Whether it's community or a school board meeting. At our school board meetings, there's one diehard that comes every time, one staff that comes every time, and maybe one other person. So you have a hard time representing the interest when you have 1 to 3 people.
Okay.
So that's, I don't remember how I ranked this, but as I read the question now, that's mine, I would put developing if I was doing this again, because there's nobody, I don't know who we're representing. We were voted in to represent the community, and then that channel is cut off. We're voted in, and then that's done. So,
Unless something is very controversial, we see very few people at board meetings,
yeah.
and so.
Other thoughts here?
For some reason, I think
That's
there's
really helpful.
just a perception.
Yeah, perception
I
is.
mean, I think we all.
I would hope that no board member ever uses their office for personal gain or advancement.
Right, that would be it.
That would be sinful in my book. Go ahead,
Wait, no, finish yours.
go ahead.
I was thinking that the person before me maybe used their board member position to help work their way up the political ladder.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody here currently is, but I think the guy before me, potentially, the school board was a step up to a state level,
Sure.
or to the next step he's running for.
Lots of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that's a personal gain. That's,
Or advancement, yeah.
yeah, because you're trying to work your way up the ladder.
But how else are you gonna learn how to be government?
And it's, the way the question is written implies that both of those things are bad, but
Right,
Yeah.
if you're trying to become more politically knowledgeable, school board is one little step on that.
Whoever's watching, that's not me, I have no interest.
So I have to say that the school boards are the bedrock of American democracy, because when we look at higher offices, we look at city council, county commission, state legislature, even Congress, we see former school board members there. And so that's kind of the breeding ground of our legislators.
and with that, I'd like to say, because I made a strong comment, I'm not saying that the people that use this as a stepping stone are not doing a good job. To me, it's for personal gain or advancement that doesn't benefit anybody else. But I think if they do this well, they're benefiting the district.
Right.
So I wanted to clarify that.
See, I almost would prefer that to be split into two different ones, personal gain versus advancement, because personal gain the nature of the question seems to be fairly negative connotation, but advancement, not necessarily. So I don't know.
I also, I don't know who does the OSBA webinars from our board, attends them, but I've attended at least part of every conference since I've been on the school board. And I don't want to sound rude or dismissive, but I'm the only one who goes to them. So I don't know if anyone on the board has attended an ethics training for a school board, or if they have, you know, learned the ins and outs of all of that. And so that is something that I just want to make sure everybody knows, because the board ethics is not quite what you think it's going to be before you learn what it is. And so there might be just a little bit of a knowledge gap there.
I have listened in on
Yeah,
several
some of the
webinars.
webinars looked at.
Yeah.
And lots of years of going to not board specific things, but other kinds of trainings and through OEA and et cetera, so.
So I want to keep this moving, because I want to get the goal setting, because that's the end of this rainbow. Go get to the bottom goal at the end, is we're gonna set some goals for action for the board. So I want to move us on to question 78, and so in an otherwise really good looking standard here, we've got this one here, it's question 78, board and superintendent agree on information needed by the board, and when and how the board receives that information. Now, we're going to go into this topic a lot deeper, but I just want to get some initial thoughts on this particular one.
I have, my initial, all these questions in my mind are going, we don't have a strategic plan, I can't answer any of these questions. So I was irritated going through all these questions, because all the questions are referring to visions and plan, we don't have one that I'm aware of. I know it's in the development stage, because we've been talking about, did we even talk about, was he the one we did not, no, he's on the one, I can't remember Joe and Susan, but that was on that, the guy in the East Coast.
Yeah, we talked about Studer, we talked
Yeah.
about, a little bit about OSBA, and, you know, we're moving ahead, you know, in some other directions, to be able to get us there. Yeah.
So as I read a lot.
I have the same struggle with
Yes.
our scoring,
We
to
have
honestly say whether we've aligned with goals when we're.
We have a
not
continuous
registered.
improvement plan for the district.
Sure.
Jim?
But I can probably say that that's not been something that's been first and foremost, put forward to the board. Not as an exception, but as, a piece of information that can share some strategic planning by another name. And that's my bad. So I need to make sure I share our district improvement plan.
I think with question 78, we've been caught flat-footed many times when something has come up in the district and we hear about it through a complaint email or someone reaching out to us instead of having been informed a little sooner.
Or
It's definitely improving, but, so that is, I think, why I would have chosen to vote in on that one.
Okay.
And I think that there have been times when information's come to us and we haven't relayed it back to Susan quickly enough either, so I think it's just, sometimes somebody reaches out and I just make an assumption that everybody has heard from that person. And I've stopped that assumption because I have found out that that's actually rarely the case. And so we've definitely improved on that, but I do think that, you know, it's something we need to work on.
Yeah,
And we have been, we just need to keep working on it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and Facebook and text just make it nigh on impossible sometimes. But yes, I agree that, that's been something that, we've been helped by a text group that I can put out to folks that says, please read your email. And it's something that says, this happened in the community, or this happened here, or
Yeah.
Great.
something like that.
I struggle with it even reading the question, because I still struggle with what the board does. In my mind, we approve the budget set by the budget committee, we approve policies set by the state. So for me, as a doer, I don't think we do anything. So I look at this going, well, what information do we need? Because we don't do. Okay? We approve and we adopt, but we do have a say in the budget. As far as I understand, we don't have a say in the curriculum set by the state. So to me, I don't even understand why we approve it, because we don't have a choice. Here's the curriculum, so why are we here? I still struggle with that.
By the time we're done, it'll be more clear. And I really appreciate you just giving voice to, we don't have strategic documents that we use regularly. So this It would be really hard to fill out if you didn't. So I really appreciate you saying that out loud. That's really, really helpful. Okay, so,
And just to piggyback on that, one of the things that I came to realize a long time ago is that the school board, although you may not think they're doing a lot, we are oversight to make sure things don't go off the rails.
yep,
That's really a big part of why we're here.
I don't like being manager, I could work here.
for sure. Yeah, because that's where we're heading, that oversight role. Okay, so let's jump over to standard 7, which is on page, I really was at 18. So this is a core standard, and for all 3 of these are core standards. This is your 3rd highest rating, and you had the 2nd lowest disagreement, so you guys are in pretty high agreement around this standard. To help our education, would someone read the standard, which is in the blue text at the top?
The board creates a climate of expectation that all students can learn at their highest level. The board supports policy and procedures that foster a positive and safe learning environment. The board models professional relationships and a culture of mutual respect with staff and community. The board models and establishes an organizational culture of service.
Okay. So those are all statements that derive out of the education science. And the standards at the top of the page are top of the standard for all of these, so, you could write the first 2, but I think you guys are good on those.
I do like the first sentence that ends with at their highest level rather than the highest level. Because students are individual in their highest level.
Right.
I actually had some trouble with this one
Okay,
because the students can learn their highest level. Then I think, I don't remember who it was, California, where they determined that math was racist and you can't segregate math classes out. So my kids are bored as could be because we're big on math at our house. And they're not allowed, I don't remember what this, there was a lady's name, law, I'm sorry, I don't remember anything, but you can't.
tracking that, yeah.
Yeah, so I just remember that if you separate the higher doing kids away from the lower doing kids, it made a bigger separation. And so there was that rule law that you can't do that until you hit the junior year of high school or something. Remember we discussed
Wasn't it
it?
at the elementary level that we were talking about it?
Yeah, so my kids in elementary and middle school, my 4th grader is well above that math, but he doesn't get to. So with question 52, the board creates a system in which the highest level of student learners are expected. I don't think that my 4th grader it has the highest level expected because he is doing better than his grading at that level.
But being held back.
But being, not necessarily being held back, not being pushed harder.
Okay,
So I don't think he's being held back because he's above where a 4th grader should be.
right,
So he's not being held back, he's just not allowed to.
to experience.
So yeah, one of the questions that I had here is what does it mean to have systematized high expectations? What I'm hearing from you, Ryan, is you don't feel like there's a system of high expectations for all kids.
I was more distraught about this thing we heard about this came through within the last, well, I went down the board of years, within the last year where we heard about this, how that math is a racist subject and you can't separating the kids in the, basically called AP classes, was making a bigger segregation between them, and that became a racist thing. That bothered me. That I don't agree. I also did do research on it, but I just don't agree that that's.
I think that's a great opportunity for math staff to come and work with the board and talk about what detracting math really means. Because, yeah, that's not my understanding.
Yeah, because we do not detract math. The other thing I'm thinking about is Steve Bell, who represents our talented and gifted leadership in the district, was in a meeting today with the state. And one of the things that we know we have to work on is we've got specialists that work in each of our schools that can help with identification of talented and gifted kids. Now the big push is what do you do with those students in the classroom? So what does it mean to address student rate and student level across your entire class group for those students who are demonstrating above the norm? and that's what we need to do our next level of work, is what does that mean for me as a general classroom teacher?
Yeah.
In my experience, being a math teacher, but at the high school.
There we go.
No, see, I'm not an elementary specialist. But the fact that we are, I don't want to say underfunded, although we really sort of are, but the fact that we have large class sizes, and again, my experience is at the secondary level, large class sizes, and a lot of SPED students, mostly low, although I guess tag considered SPED also?
Yes.
It's a twice exceptional, or,
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's special ed and tag, they're twice.
Pretty much at the high school level, tag and math is just dealt with, well, you go to the next higher math class, you know, you just bump along to the highest level and get into calculus and whatever else, so it really was never an issue at the high school level, but again, I don't really know what's going on there.
And this was more of an issue, just when I remember, I don't remember who presented or who, I just remember we got this presentation, whether it was at the work session last year, or, I just remember being somewhat appalled over this, as they were just telling us about this, going, why would you do such a thing? So I,
Rhode Island School District has done that.
okay, so I don't remember who was telling us, but I just remember the whole thing just seemed totally wrong to me.
Yeah, and we've not detracked our math,
Okay.
so,
I'm based, my thoughts are based on the presentation we got,
yeah,
Right.
and whether, I don't remember who it was from.
and I don't remember off the top of my head either.
I just remember that in the presentation, I just sat here going, wow.
Okay,
Yeah, not right.
okay.
Sorry, I'm wrong.
No, that's okay. So, I mean, really, this is, the question that I had for question 52 is, what does this mean for you? Creating a system where high levels of student learning are expected.
I don't know if I agree that the board creates the system, I think we more we monitor the system, our administrators and our teachers create the system,
Yes.
really.
Yes,
Whereas
they
we
do.
are the overseers of that system to make sure that they're allowed to make it work.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other piece of the puzzle that we've, been spending some conscious effort on, has to do with, making sure that every student has an opportunity to be in advanced level classes, in a high school setting. That we're not eliminating opportunity, for our typically underserved kids. That, you know, you can't attempt to take AP something, or, this particular math class or whatever. I mean, we're gonna direct you in a way, but we want to encourage the ability for students to work their limits and expectations, and everybody has the opportunity to reach for that.
So do we only do that at the high school level?
That's typically where kids have the choices. At the lower levels where there are independent individual classes, pardon me, swallowed that sideways. We have to look within the classroom at the rate and level of learning for kids, because we can't necessarily, in the space that we're in, have 5 different levels of math at 4th grade.
No, I understand.
And so, how we do it just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, ideally, we would want an independent educational plan for every student, you know, say, well, but, you know, a teacher does not have the time to do that.
Right.
You know, there aren't enough hours in a day to individualize learning for every student, which is why we have group students and everything else. But in case of a tag student, we try that. I mean, I always tried to give opportunities to my best students to do more if they wanted to,
Yep.
but you can't force them to, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to be reassured that there are opportunities at, you know, lower levels, that kids, that we have ways of letting them reach their highest
Yes.
potential. I
Yes.
don't want that to just kick in high school.
No, thank you. And yes, you are correct. The part of that in high school is there has been a particular trend, not just Falmouth, but in a lot of places where, we place a lot of expectations on a student that can get into a higher level class. You have to have teacher approval. You have to have X GPA, you have to have. And, what are the standards by which I get teacher approval? And of course, that's getting better and better and better. But it's just about not taking away, the opportunity to access, in the same way we wouldn't want to take away an opportunity to access for our younger kids as well.
Well, and I think the way we create the system is through our language choices, like what you just said. When we're having conversations in board sessions, talking about, well, how does this program support this? How does this funding support this? Are we making sure that a dollar's following a student through the system so that they are supported in that way? And those are the things that are our responsibility. So that's how we create that system. And we empower Susan to make tough choices or easy choices. Let's hopefully more easy than tough.
Yeah.
And make sure that, you know, our teachers know that they can come to a board meeting and say, hey, we've got this great idea. We want to hear that.
Yeah. So this conversation that you're having is an example of how you set that expectation for building system for high level. And it just so happens that we're talking about that, but it could be social studies, it could be anything, and should be across the board. Okay?
It should be everything, yes.
You know, the other prompts that I gave here are, what are some organizations with high expectations? It's not hard.
Sports organizations, high expectations.
Sure, it's high expectation. And so how do they manage that? What systems do they have to manage that? In the NFL, how do they manage high expectations for player performance?
I don't play sports and watch sports, I just.
Coaches, trainers,
Trainers,
the fans.
they're watching your statistics, they're evaluating the performance, and they very closely. And if they're not measuring up, they might not get another contract. Another one is aerospace industry. So Boeing is a good example. High level of performance, right, required. But are they meeting standards?
Doesn't seem like it.
No, it doesn't.
Well, and in our world, we've switched fertilizer and chemical companies based on the performance of the field man, the crop advisors.
Right.
If your person that you're working with isn't a high enough level person, you switch companies to somebody who provides you better service.
And what systems do you use to maintain high levels of performance?
Well, systems would be probably yield, like weeds in the field, so chemical, how your control is doing, what they're finding, what they're missing. The field man's job is to just monitor crops, and simple thing is observing.
Yeah.
They're just a person coming out and being on site.
Yeah. Inputs versus yield per acre and all those, you know, there's plenty of systems in agriculture for managing performance. So it's the same sort of concept. Great conversation, that was really useful. Related to that was question 51, the board regularly assesses and holds the district accountable and provides support for the improvement of the district culture and climate. We haven't even got to accountability yet, we're just starting, we're kind of in that space already.
Yeah, I don't know if I was going to go, I would just pick something in the middle, because I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I put effective on that. I think that, but there's always room for improvement, which I almost never answered accomplished on. Of the 84 questions, but I answered accomplished twice.
I think I did.
Or something
I
like
did.
that, you
Yeah,
know.
I think I did.
But yeah, that's the support for the improvement of district culture and climate. I think that's absolutely crucial. And I think we've been working really hard on that the last few years. And there's still room for improvement, there are still problems. But, which is why I could understand somebody picking developing rather than effective. But I definitely, you know, I would like it to be better, but I think for improvement.
Well, and I think that, part of the needing to refresh the strategic vision of the district is also, you know, an updated value statement. What is our district's culture? So how can the board be sure that we are supporting the culture and climate of the district and that everyone feels welcome and a member, that sense of belonging that is intrinsic to our existence as human beings, but especially within spaces we spend a lot of time, so work, school, depending on your role here, whether you're a teacher or a student, making sure that when a culture of support has been called out, that there are tools in place that are actually making that happen. So there is an issue, there's a resolution to the issue.
Sure, because I mean, like I said, definitely, always improve, but I've also had experience talking to people from other school districts that are in a lot worse shape than we are in terms of culture, climate, where there are toxic things going on in buildings and, between staffs and administrators and it's just, and the board is in some level responsible for that, because they're the overseers.
Yeah.
You said that word.
And another piggyback here, I think, yes, it's good to know what other districts are doing, but I don't think comparing ourselves to another district is as valuable as meeting our own goals. I hate comparisons,
Because we're not the same, we don't have
We're
the
not
same
the same, exactly.
student-based and community-based that Corvallis does,
Right,
Albany does,
right.
Monroe does.
So I'm just saying, I think we need to be careful comparing ourselves, because we're responsible for us, we are concerned with Paloma School District. I don't, what the other districts are doing, in my mind, is not relevant to what we're doing.
I remind you of the summer board conference, we had, her name's Shelley Reggiani, she's, works at the district office, she's a brilliant educator. She was talking about strategic planning, and she shared that process is the product. Strategic planning process produces a document that has words on it, and it's supposed to be what we believe and where we're going, right? But the process of doing it, how we show up, how we do the work, builds the culture that supports the document. I think that's true of the way you show up in the boardroom and how you do your work. But the use of process matters. It matters for you, and it matters for Susan, and it matters for everybody else in the organization, including your kids. So, great conversation on standard 7. Again, this was an area of strength for you guys. And it's your, third highest ranking of all. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to areas for growth. We're going to standard 4. And I don't have my glasses on, it's page 11.
So you can front and back and
So the street pages, 11, 12, and 13.
Standard 4 is a really important one. So now we're starting to get where the rubber meets the road. What is it that a board is supposed to do? Would someone read this standard for us?
The board holds high expectations for the learning of each and every student and holds themselves and the district accountable for reaching those results. The board provides strategic direction in the development of the district's vision, mission, vision, and goals. The board adopts policy and resources that align with the district's strategic vision and goals. The board monitors and holds accountable the superintendent to implement the district's strategic vision and goals.
Awesome.
And again, because of our, lack of a strategic plan right now, that's probably why I listen.
And that's true, where I think it's kind of like, why haven't I said that district improvement plan? Because that would be the piece of the puzzle that I just haven't.
It's okay.
Yeah, no,
We're gonna get there.
but I think that would be, and strategic plan, yes, we need it, but it's kind of like I'm going, hey, that would have been a good something to do.
We've talked about strategic planning, but it doesn't have to be a big area process. It does not. Okay, so, there's plenty to talk about here. This is a core standard. This is your third from the bottom, lowest rated. So this is, we'll work our own.
Part of that is question 33, which is why we're here tonight.
Yeah, let's go to it. Question 33, wait, where is it?
The board regularly establishes performance goals for itself.
Yeah,
So we sort of do, but also we haven't really
We
done this
did
kind
last
of.
year,
but we're gonna fix that tonight.
we haven't yet this year.
I was gonna say, that's not something
I'm
I'm
sure one
familiar
of
with.
them in the red because I'm like, we don't, my first year here, we haven't done anything, so I'm like.
Right.
Working on it. So we're gonna fix that tonight. I think there's another one here, what is it? 26. Board regularly reflects on the performance, makes substantive change based on results of self-evaluation. We're fixing that tonight, okay? Just don't even worry about it. we're moving on from that. Let's go to 27, I wanted to get thoughts here. The board models a culture of high expectations. Actually, we talked about that, so let's jump past that. Because we really talked about culture, and that really has a lot of crossover with standard 7 that we just talked about. Unless you feel like you want to talk about that. Let's see, 28. The board is priority focus on student learning and the student success in alignment with the district's strategic goals. And the question I had for you was, how could this be better? Maybe strategic.
I was gonna say, we would state those goals.
Well,
I mean, we do have goals.
to a degree, the goals have been set up in superintendent goals
Yeah,
that we've had.
But this is about the board.
Right, but if we're talking about the board's priority and focus on student learning and student success in alignment with the district's goals, has it been fleshed out in more detail? No. But, yeah,
So, I think if it's okay to take a little space to have this conversation right now. We did need to kind of kick off some strategic planning a while ago. And the expectation that came out of that meeting was that the board was not going to be involved in that planning process. That it was going to be handled more internally and then it would come back to us once things were further established. And my understanding, part of our role on the board, as we look at the standard, is that we provide strategic direction in the development of the district's mission, vision, and goals. And it might just be the way the sentence or two was stated to us in that meeting, but I very much felt that I was not being called in to help with that process. It's actually something I have a lot of experience with, that I'm very good at doing. And I wanted to offer help, but I felt that if I did, that would be one of those like overstepping moments. And I just was like, okay, I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna show. But it does feel like it's our responsibility, and that is one of the times when we have action that we need to be taking. Because I think we set really unrealistic expectations on our administration to be able to do literally every single thing all the time. And this is an area where we maybe can take more action, not to be fully directed, but to be involved in the process and supportive of the process, and maybe take a little bit of those pain points and hold listening sessions and be the ones who are responsible for that part, and that would maybe alleviate some of the work elsewhere.
yeah.
And I don't know what the appropriate, I feel very uncomfortable in this, knowing what my role on the board is in this process.
So let me, I'll bring some clarity to the topic, and then maybe I'll speak with the superintendent a little bit. So, strategic planning, how to facilitate and how to do that and implement it is actually pretty darn complex. There's a lot that goes into it. And so my guess is that Susan was like, hey, let me go back and learn, because she's your superintendent, she's your chief coach, right? So she's your chief advisor. And so she was saying, hey, let me go skill up on this, and then I'm gonna come back and present you with the plan.
And it wasn't Susan's words, I should clarify
Oh,
that. It wasn't
okay.
anything you said, Susan, I probably should.
Yeah, because there's,
it could have been,
So
so.
it was,
you know,
I should have said that, I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, and
That would have helped clear that up
This
immediately.
for me is good input and good listening, in reflection for me at the same time. Because whether I said it or not is good fodder for, what we're doing tonight anyway, which is about how do we move forward, and take into account the things that we need to do, so absolutely.
so let me finish the statement. So there's a lot of variety, there's as many organizations as there are, that's how many options there are and how you distribute your plan. It's just, there's so many, and fortunately, at OSBA, we kind of do this quick and dirty version because I'm not really big on big elaborate processes anyway. So I'm guessing that was the intent. So it was kind of, let's keep the board at bay for a little bit, get ourselves skilled up, and then we can come back and engage you, because the reality is, you have to be front and center. And I mean, what's in here, it's not what I believe your role is. It's what the education science is. Organizations, school organizations that have their board front and center and being the stewards of their district priorities have better student outcomes. Full stop. That's a fact. So yeah, your job is to be doing this work. And you need to be directly involved. So you're spot on, don't feel, yeah.
And I 100% agree, but I also, we should be directly involved, but to me, I know when I met with Susan on this, I think she probably agrees with me. I think the most important thing we do as a board is have the long-term strategic plan. Because without that, teachers come and go, how do you measure success if you don't have something out there? I also don't think that any of us in this room, except maybe you, because I don't know, are capable of that. I think it needs to be a professional that helps us do this correctly, because we're taking the entire community's tax money as part of what we do into this. I think we need professional help and hold us accountable with checks and balances. Like here, give the public's vision, input, compile to the plan, and there's a 5-year rolling target out there. And the only way that does any good is if we have checks and balances as we go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't operate without a plan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, choosing a person who's walked this path before, and walks a path that you want to go on, because there's a bajillion other consultants out there that have different ways of doing this, so it's fine. But also is a person that's gonna do the performance of the work. I mean, your superintendent and staff have a district to run.
But I mean, I don't think they have the time or the expertise in this. Because now I think we're holding town hall meetings, giving public input. I don't think that's their job.
And it allows them, when you bring a facilitator in, it allows them to work be in the work and thinking about kids and the needs of the district, rather than how do I manage this process to get an outcome.
Yeah.
You got the consultant in with that.
You're making thoughts instead of taking notes, that's what I have to say in this kinds of meetings.
Exactly.
And I think that that's one of our responsibilities and one of the ways that we owe student support as a board, is to say, we want you to be actively involved and not having to chase the details down.
Okay, accountability. Now, there's more here. And you'll find that we'll keep coming back to this idea of, we need district priorities, we need a strategic plan. So, the next page. Happy about question 29. Yay, you're aligning your resources to your priorities. You have some priorities somewhere. You have things that you're aiming at, it's to some degree, and you're aligning your resources to that.
I think it goes back to the financial part. The financial team is doing that, and we were giving them a thumbs up. So we have a great I don't take any credit for my role on the board is helping with that. I think we have a great team that does it, and we give them a thumbs up.
I agree.
But part of the role of the board is to empower people to do the work and do it well. In fact, that's probably one of the most important roles. Okay? Question 31, I called out disaggregated student results and growth are measures against expectations set by the district's strategic goals. It would be hard to answer this question if you didn't have strategic
I
goals.
think that's why we're gonna work on that one.
Yeah, sure.
When I was going through this, I was thinking more about the strategic goals. I was thinking about the superintendent's goals and then the district. I mean, we've had goals, it's just a matter of maybe not as cohesive as we would like, maybe not as, et cetera. So I might have been the one that said effective, I don't know, but or maybe not. I honestly don't remember how I answered the question.
It doesn't even matter.
I didn't turn on record with what I answered, but anyway, so yeah.
So grab my sweatshirt, sorry.
He's like, it's cold in here.
It's cold. So the board's first job in accountability is hold ourselves accountable. Next is hold the superintendent. So moving on to question 32, the board conducts an effective superintendent evaluation focused on monitoring progress of the district's strategic goals. And you guys are actively working in this area. So we had a pretty good process last year. I think I'm coming back this year. Is that true?
I don't know.
Did
That hasn't
we talk
been
about- did we talk
determined
about
yet.
that?
That's how it goes tonight, I guess.
I don't know if we
I'm not trying to ditch you guys. I got so many districts moving, I'm not sure who.
Sure. I'm not sure if we've explicitly discussed it yet, but we will soon.
If you'd like me to walk alongside, I'm happy to, but don't feel obligated. 32, let's see, yeah, we talked about 33, we're fixing that one. Question 34. The board ensures the superintendent and staff clearly understand the roles and responsibilities in creating and supporting a culture of high expectations throughout the system.
And that result surprised me a little bit, because I think we did a pretty good job of that.
So what
To
is
be
that,
honest.
so what does that look like? That was my first question, was what does this look like? And so we're on question 34. So board ensures that the superintendent and staff clearly understand their roles and responsibilities in creating and supporting a culture of high expectations throughout the system.
Maybe it's the throughout the system that threw people off, because I'm sure there's gonna be places where it's not perfect, you know, and
Yeah, so, I mean, you are doing some of this, but you people mark it correctly.
I don't remember how I marked it. I read this, I just read it like 4 times thinking about this. I kind of would wonder maybe, you know, I read this, if the staff clearly understood their roles and responsibilities in creating this. And I'm thinking about, I've heard comments from staff, they're not sure, and I read this as not how the question is, but if they're who they're allowed to talk to and what they're allowed to do. So I read this and I just kind of go in, I just see the staff clearly understand their roles and responsibilities in creating, supporting the culture of high expectations. We hear some stuff from staff and then they'll start to say, well, I'm not sure we're allowed to say this, or supposed to say this to you. So when I hear staff, the first word is, I'm not sure if I'm allowed or supposed to, then I question whether they clearly understand.
Right.
Yeah,
So whether that was part of this question, I don't know, but as I read it, that's what comes to mind.
kind of fits in there though, you know, not being clear on role and sure. And we're not all on the same page necessarily. Okay. So having a strategic plan that's built collaboratively with your staff can go quite a ways to address that. They know where you're aiming.
I think that also goes to, and Sandy and I talked about this a little bit, a part of culture in, listening sessions with members of the board, but the superintendent in some situations really shouldn't be there. And so that's a struggle I personally have, because I think that we should all be hearing the same thing.
Exactly,
And we can all be sitting in the same room.
yeah.
And so,
We've heard that from some of the staff.
yeah, and,
I
yeah.
didn't say it.
No, you did not.
I didn't say it.
But that's part of the, you know, when, this is my interpretation, we're not sure we can tell you this board member
Right.
is really about my insistence that says, you need to tell me if it's an operational kind of something, kind of what's happening. And I'm not saying we can't tell the board, but I'm saying we've got to hear it together,
Right,
rather than, something being said to the board, and I never know about it at all, until a board member comes and says, here's the concern.
Right.
In fact, it breaks my heart, is what it does,
Sure.
more than it angers me in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think I'm vindictive,
well, if it's concerned.
but that's where I wanna work at,
Yeah.
how does it feel comfortable to do this together?
Mhm.
And know that we're working on this together, as opposed to an us and them. That's all.
right.
We have
Yeah.
policies in place that if you have a concern about something, there is a distinct chain of command you're supposed to go by. You don't immediately go to the school board member and complain.
Right.
That's not what staff should be doing.
But that's built in, whether it's school or not, that's built everywhere. So I've heard new teachers, and I don't wanna say anything, I'm new, I'm on probation, or the other ones that say, I've been here long enough, I can't get fired, I don't care. But that happens in if I have a new employee that's been there just a little, I'm gonna say, just shut up and go to work, you haven't been here long enough to have a valuable, or there's the ones that have been there that don't long enough, they may not do what you tell them to, they've been there long enough, they're not getting fired. So I don't think it has to do with the school or Susan, it's just, that is generally how it happens in a workplace. Whether that's right or wrong, or
But it's a good point.
it's a good point, it's not correct, but that's how human nature is. The new person doesn't want to be the complainer, they're gonna get fired, nobody wants to hear that, they've only been there a week. The person that's been there 30 years, has been there long enough, they're not worried about what they say, because they're not getting fired. And so that has nothing to do with Susan. I think that these listening sessions, people are more comfortable if their supervisor, the boss is not there.
Right.
And so I think, and I know it's a hard spot for Susan, because she wants to be there, but I think it's human nature. People aren't comfortable talking, my employees aren't gonna say anything if I'm sitting in a room with them.
Right.
So, but you wanna get to that place.
Right.
Where people do feel safe, where staff are comfortable coming to a public meeting and sharing hard topics in front of the superintendent and board, knowing that there will never be any retaliation. And the only way you can get there is when everybody's pulling towards the same mission.
But I also think the steps we're taking, it's been really big to me, the listening sessions and stuff, and I feel like those are steps that we're taking to make people feel comfortable, to show people transparency, to get us all on one team. It should not, like Susan said, it shouldn't be the board against anybody. We're on the same team, and I think a way to foster that is to, let them talk. I always take it back to Susan. This is what a concern was, blah, blah, blah. It's not that I'm harboring information, and if they feel more comfortable telling me and it's a concern, well, at least it's getting to Susan anyway. I understand exactly what you're saying, you'd like to be there, hear it, address it, all that, because I don't address anything. I'm just like, I listen, okay, and I make notes, and I make notes. But I think that is a segue into more willing communication, more comfortable communication. I mean, I've been promoting this the whole time I've been on the board, because I think people need to know that they can communicate. I think people are afraid of communicating sometimes. And let's take that fear out of it and see that, the board isn't this big scary entity that doesn't care about you as a teacher, doesn't care about, we do, man, we value them like crazy. They need to know that.
One of the systemic problems in education and business and politics also is that sort of duality, the us versus them mentality. You get that, and as much as I am absolutely a proponent of unions, you have the union versus the administration, and that's it's an us versus them frequently, which we've been pretty good in Florida over the years of having good communication and pretty decent relationships between the union and the administration and board. But they're just, and then the current social media and political climate and everything else that just makes everything so toxic. But it's something that we have to be just really aware of and try to, generate transparency and trust as much as we can.
I think the big thing here is, and I really appreciate your comments that we're right here, and we're making baby steps in this direction, is knowing where you want to go. What do we want it to look like? How do we want this to function?
Which my goal there would be that they don't feel they have to come talk to us, that they do feel safe enough to just go straight to their building administrator, go straight to Susan. And I think that that's something that we need to really focus a lot of effort on this year, is figuring out why someone wouldn't feel safe, first of all, and how can we foster that sense of safety? Because to me, a culture of high expectations includes psychological safety, workplace satisfaction, all of those things. It's not just high educational standards, high
Academic,
expectations academically, it's how our staff feel when they get in their car to drive to work, not even once they're here. But if they're spending their whole drive to work, like, you know, we don't wanna.
That's because of the two boys in the back row.
And I really appreciate your comment, particularly in this context, because that culture of accountability, it flows both ways.
Oh, yeah.
If your staff starts holding you accountable, because now, if what you have strategic priorities, what you have a mission, you have shared values, now, if you're off base, they're like, no, this is what we need.
And that's the exact reason I want
Yeah,
a third party entity helping us with the plan, but there's somebody that says, as a board, you guys didn't hold up your end, you were supposed to have this then, and if we do it ourselves, there's nobody making sure you get it done but you. Or
That's their
check
job,
you.
though.
But,
Their job
but
is to
if
make
somebody
sure we
doesn't
get it
check
done.
you,
Yeah.
there's always topics,
Yeah.
oh, let's put it off till next meeting. And they've been kicked down the road 25 meetings or whatever, and if there's not a
that consultant calling up and saying, okay, this is the next step.
You're
what are we
being-
doing?
no, I want the consultant to come back, like, a year, we check with the community, like, how is the school board doing with what?
Well, ultimately, that's where you go.
Since I think part of my job this evening is timekeeper, I will say it's 7:15, so
Yeah, I'm mindful, I'm watching.
I know you are.
What was our ending time tonight?
It needs to be made.
Eight?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's, in light of that, let's jump over to standard product, we're gonna gloss over it pretty quickly, because it goes right with this accountability piece. And this is kind of the technical nuts and bolts of accountability, it's how we use data to track our progress. This is a core standard. This is your second lowest rating, and, well, it's third highest in disagreement, so you're kind of all over the place. And I'm not surprised, because if you don't have district priorities, it's hard to have data. Time
Oh,
to
we are,
have,
I mean,
and so it's,
we are shared data, we're given data at almost every meeting. And sometimes during the year we get a lot, and so I know the data is there, and coming from, directly from education, I see it, and I said, that's why I'm sure I probably voted effective on at least some of these, if not most of them. Because I think we are given the data, the problem is that some of us may not understand the data, and that comes from, we need more education, we need a more clear strategic plan, the strategic, way to look at it. But no, I know our administrators, Susan, and our principals, vice principals, counselors, they all use data to help them make their decisions. I mean, it's not something where they're just randomly deciding to do things.
and to that point, question 35. The board uses and expects the superintendent to use a variety of types of relevant data in decision making, or said effective when developing. So, yeah, the board definitely has that expectation that the professionals are using student data. I want to see if there's any hot spots here. Oh, question, yeah, the lack of a strategic plan makes all of this really challenging. Like question 39, just flip over there. Yeah, the board communicates to the public how public policy decisions are linked to student learning data. If you don't have a cohesive plan to attach the data to, it's hard to have a cohesive message to go out in the public. So that totally makes sense, that would be really challenging.
No, well, good question 40, let's point that one out. I know the district does that, but the point of the question is the board creates a culture that encourages, and so maybe there's the feeling of, well, maybe we haven't done that.
The expectation of disaggregated data, that's kind of the next one, 41. The board ensures data used in decision making is disaggregated, culturally representative, and provides the ability to monitor the district's strategic goals.
Anytime I heard the word strategic, it went to development. And seriously, anytime I heard the word strategic goal, strategic plan, it was development. I didn't even listen to the question because I was frustrated the whole time reading this.
Yeah, and
I mean, we do have a strategic vision for the district, it's just, we've started to update it, so we're in a little bit of limbo, but it's that it's not handing anymore, it's a class.
No, it's a classroom.
Big graph to graduate every student on time and blah, da, 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 with those certain class metrics where they do this at this age and do this at this age, or grade. But we know that that data is outdated.
Yes, it is.
It's outdated data.
That was pre-COVID, that was developed.
Yeah.
It was 8 years pre-COVID, it's 5 years pre-COVID, like it's elderly data.
And a lot of the stuff Sam and I had within a year, there's a lot of stuff that you guys had in the past that Sam and I, we haven't seen or,
Right,
so we look at this one, there might have been stuff happened 4 years ago, we're both a year.
right. Yeah, so we don't know.
Nope, I get it.
And we weren't given that, here's the district, here's the priorities, the goals, here's what you're working towards.
Right.
We were just, there you are.
Okay, you're sworn in. Now show up.
Pretty much the way it works, yeah.
It is, but I disagree, that's what it should be.
Oh, I know, that's why we also have the support of OSBA and why we subscribe, pay for the services for OSBA, so we can go get training, we can go get, the webinars, the online trainings, and things like that help, for sure. So.
Trying to move this along, let's flip over to standard one, and kind of wrap this up, and then we're gonna go to the whole section.
Standard one is 2 pages.
It's, page 4, or standard one, would someone please read this standard?
I will attempt to read it, Robin, the board engages community and staff in the development of a shared vision focused on student learning. The board ensures that the vision is the foundation of the mission and strategic goals that direct board policy making, planning, resource allocation, and activities.
Thank you. So, and this is a core standard, so this is one of the big 5. A school board that can't do this is gonna struggle to be effective. So, I'm not surprised, there's a lot of, at least on this first page, there's quite a bit of red, but probably some of the most. So it doesn't sound like, looking at question 4, doesn't look like you're collaborating with the community on getting input on priorities. Have you done any listening? I know
Not
that
lately.
you did integrated guidance.
Yep.
So district will now.
And we're back to that now also, to be able to update and review. So we're in process of planning
Perfect.
sessions to be able to gather the input we need for that will serve multi-purpose.
I brought some of your integrated, coached some
Oh,
small,
okay.
integrated guidance. Guess we're gonna have a discussion about the plan. So it sounds like district has gone out, but board hasn't been part of that.
I'm guessing I was the one ineffective, I don't know that, but I still think, again, plan, town hall meeting, something, gathering information. I feel that we've been ineffective at going out with board foundation, board policy making plan resource, there's not the word engages community and strategic goals, as I read those 2 things in the sentence, that's all I read. That's the only words that jumped out to me in the sentence.
Yeah.
Community, engages community and strategic goals. So I'm guessing I'm the one that put the red in there, when we haven't engaged the community, and I don't see the goals.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, we have tried, we had a copy thing, and nobody shows up.
I think the only effective, in my experience in this district, the only really effective way you can get the community involved is with like a survey where because and even then, you might only get 30 or 40% response or whatever it is, but at least you're more likely, as opposed to having people have to get out of there, out from in front of Netflix and go out to wherever they're asked to meet or whatever. You just don't have a lot of, unfortunately, community members show up to those kinds of gigs. So, and if you do, it's more likely the ones that you're gonna see at school board meetings too, so.
Right.
I mean, as much as we
Right.
should keep trying those kinds of things, because you're gonna reach somebody. I think, some form of kind of, because I know we've done community surveys in the past.
Yep.
And I think that's probably, at least based on my experience, probably the most effective way to get the community involved, at least initially. And then that might generate some more.
And whoever, when you do plan a project, whoever comes alongside can help you plan that and figure out what's the most effective way. We were just talking about this, question 7, the board regularly monitors progress with strategic goals. So I think you were talking about this, focus on improving student learning. Sounds like you are seeing data progress, but board isn't.
There's no link.
Yeah, there's no linkage, so just getting those things wired up.
Well, and to me, this was more, you know, if you have a strategic, you have your goals, but you also have your action items under those goals. Are we monitoring the progress of those action items? And we don't have those action items in a formalized place where we can monitor.
Yeah.
So that makes it much more difficult.
Yeah, that's called a monitoring
I
plan.
mean, we've got the goals.
Yeah, and so you have strategic priorities, you have the strategic plan. The actual strategic plan part is the operational component of it, and then you have a monitoring plan. What's the data that the board's gonna get? What form is it gonna be? When are you gonna get it? You know, it's gonna be a line chart, it's gonna be scatter plot, it's gonna be histogram, whatever that is, figuring that out. So Susan and her team knows what they have to track for you at any given time.
Well, and one way to get, and I don't know where this fits in, community engagement, so like Sandheim, New Hampshire School Board went to that, what was that, Chamber of Commerce meeting?
Oh, yeah,
So if we had a plan, a strategic plan, and had a goal, we could go as a school board to the Chamber of Commerce and
Yes.
say,
Present it.
yeah, here's what we do, because right now we have these things that were assigned, like I'm probably a chamber. What am I going to say? We have I don't want to go say, yeah, I'm a school board, I got nothing for you because I don't know.
So
So,
you should mention that the week after next, Jennifer and I are presenting the state of the district to the Falls Rotary.
Oh, good.
So you're all invited to come join the party.
You guys should go.
So I have a question. Does that constitute a public meeting and are we in violation of doing that if
No.
more than 2 of us show up?
No, because we are all attending a function held by another organization.
Okay.
Yes, we're not doing
As long as we don't try to meet and make decision-making as a board while we're there, we're good.
And you're
I'm
not,
just
and
making
you're
sure.
not collecting information pursuant to a decision.
Right, yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Good
Was it,
question.
now, when is this the Rotary
This
that's?
is,
It's in our email.
yeah, it meets at the Lutheran Church. It is scheduled
Is it a noon meeting?
for, yeah, it's a noon session on next Tuesday,
The 15th?
the 15th.
Do you have
So I'll have it on my calendar, I may or may not be able to make it, but I'll try.
It's, yes, Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yes. The 12th from 9 to 11 at Tiverton. Are you said you were gonna go? Good.
I need to, I lost my calendar.
Oh, gosh.
That's a real.
So let's transition. Is there anything else you want to discuss in here? There's more. We could go all the way down the rabbit hole and be here for 3 hours talking about board stuff. What we did is we kind of look at your standards, we look at your strengths, things that you can leverage, and things and areas for growth. So what do you want to get done in the next year? What does the board need to do? Another way to look at this is look at it in time horizon. What does the board need to do in the next 3 months?
I would like, what I'd like to see is we're working on a plan, strategic plan, both education / facilities / grounds. So to me, the plan is, we go over a lot of stuff that we charge about education. But we also, I don't know what the school district owns for property in terms of size and buildings, but part of the plan needs to incorporate and have Joey with the updated facilities plan.
Okay, so you're talking about long-range facilities planning.
In the strategic plan, there is a subcategory of education. I don't think about the education part of the plan as much as I think about just the entire operation.
Okay,
You can't have educators out of the building.
Right.
Well, you can, but it's hard.
Yeah, outdoor school would be good for year round, yeah.
So usually those things are considered separately, I'm not exactly sure why they are, but it seems like I'm looking at Susan, it's good superintendent, why do we separate the long-range facilities plan from the strategic plan? One's operational and the other is.
Some of it I think is, and I'm just pure speculation right now, it doesn't have to be independent. But it is typically because our focus is not, our focus when we're talking about where we want to go doesn't necessarily need the, if we focus on the facility, do we forget the purpose of kids and why we're here? And that's my only wonder is that a tendency? And is that a reason why they're separated?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about some safety stuff on Thursday night at our meeting, and a part of that has to do with, facilities and grounds, as an element of safety and some things with that. Like I said, they don't have to be separated. It's really about, you gotta have the foundation, but then what do you really wanna do to move forward?
I think the other thing is in long-range facilities planning, those are really detailed plans. It's like, this building needs a roof, this building needs boilers, these windows need to be replaced.
Well, let me throw out why they need to be together. So our farm, we have one operating line. I have multiple entities. We have cattle, we have grass seed, we have hay, we have custom hire. But there's one pot of money. So if one entity needs something, it's gotta come away, if one entity is gonna fail, and like this year, for example, we had one variety of grass was great, one was horrible, wheat was horrible, something has to pick up the slack somewhere. So if you have one thing that's dragging you down, one that's doing well, you have to look at it as a whole.
Yeah.
So to me, they have to be together, because if you don't know that in 3 years, this system is out, like, I don't know what's happening in the high school with air conditioning, but if we know, like, hey, the life expectancy of this system is done in 2 years, and it's $600,000, and then you go, we need new textbooks over here, but if they're separate, and there's one pot of money, how can you make an informed decision on one thing without knowing about the other thing?
Good point.
Yeah, and I think we look at them both
Mm-hmm.
when we make those kinds of decisions, but I don't think there's anything that stops us from being able
But
to
if
have one in one
as
place.
a board, if we are told, like, we were presented some curriculum things
Yep.
and bought textbooks, but if we are unaware of, if make those decisions, if this truck popped up, here's what we talked about coming down the pipeline,
Yep, I agree.
that would help make an informed decision.
I agree, I agree.
What else do you need to do in the next 3 months?
I think we should be researching or at least looking at who can we get to help us with the strategic plan. Because we had one presentation by a group that we ultimately decided, I think we didn't like them from well, they were very expensive, and also we heard some that.
And it was just us that saw it,
Yeah,
the three of us.
Yeah. And part of the thing was that they were on the East Coast, and I'll say right up front, I boldly said I don't support that decision.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that I read the contract and all that, and they do a fantastic job of marketing. I didn't feel like they would be the right choice for us with the price tag that came with that.
You can always just buy it. Visibility.
But I don't think we have the expertise to do it.
But does it require expertise, Ryan? I know what you're saying. This is one of the very few things, Ryan, and I disagreed on. I know what you're saying. It needs to be somebody in the know, but I don't think you have to be an expert to come up with a strategic plan. That's my opinion.
Well, and help could look like a myriad of different things.
Sure.
Is it help with writing a plan? Is it help with, gathering input
Sure.
and, what's the word I'm looking for? Consolidating data.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a possibility.
Yep.
Synthesizing and all.
Yep.
Yeah, it just takes a person.
Thank
So
you.
research consultants, okay, at least get started.
I would like it if some of the board members were able to attend the conference, the call.
Good idea.
OSBA conference. I know that it doesn't always work with people's schedules and things like that, but
So when this works, I'm gonna get all this input and I'll put it into a document and then you guys can type it out and do it.
And I'll just back up the reason I'm saying that. It isn't that I don't think that people can learn things independently, but I think if we are saying that we're fostering a system that supports professional development and continued learning, that's something that we should also be modeling.
It would be really cool to see you guys there.
And just a moment of vulnerability, this last one, I had several different people come up to me and ask why no one else from our board ever goes to them. And so people are noticing. I don't know if that's important, but it put me in a little bit of an awkward position to be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm here, am I not enough?
Yeah, I cannot leave home for 3 days, or 2 days, or whatever, that's why I do the webinars. We have animals to take care of, and sick animals to take care of, and I can't do it.
Is there a remote component this year?
There's
No.
not.
What's that?
No,
No.
no.
And see, I wasn't able to go in the summer for some other commitments, but typically I like to, when I can, go also, as a support to the board and gathering information as well. So, I've added that to my list as well to make sure that I can clear the decks to support our board in that
Hopefully
way.
be able to go. And I guess on that same thing, it's in here under one of the things, but talking about, what is our board's involvement at a local and state level, or, all of the places in between local, regional, state level. I don't know if that's something that other members of the board see as important, but we do have the legislative roadshow coming up pretty soon, so if you can't attend, that's a couple of hours one evening, so that might be a really good thing to check out, where they come and they explain what's pending. It allows you to get the information in case you want to write letters of support or letters against, what are they called, testimonials, at the legislative sessions, and
That's fun.
come testify.
I'm saying, yeah, pitch it. Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be really important this year.
Yeah, and there are caucuses through OSBA that you can join the meetings. They are remote meetings, just over Zoom, so
Are you guys in the rural caucus?
we are not.
Why not?
Such a good
I
question.
don't know.
The rural caucus through OSBA, I've been very involved in the Pride Advisory Council, that's up for a vote soon,
And then,
pending approval to become a caucus, so that's where I've spent my extra hours for the last over a year now.
next 3 months, anything else?
Yeah, we've asked this several, so this is called a work session tonight. This is a self-evaluation session. We have never, well, I've been here a year, we have not had a work session. The last time we had one, a year ago, it was over, I can't tell you what it was over, I remember it was in Lodgett, I remember the girl presenting to us.
Yeah, we've had one since then, Vince.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah, it was Jan.
But those aren't work sessions. This tonight is a going over self-evaluation, not a work session. We still have this whole list of things that we are representations of that, to me, is, bluntly, is a worthless list.
We need to do that, and that was the plan for tonight.
Yeah.
But we also knew that Vince needed to come back to be able to do the self-evaluation.
But I
So we
truly
are
think-
gonna need to set.
We truly need a work session to hash out some of these
Yes.
things that have been, there's a long list of things, and I can't think of a lot of them, except the one that bothers me still is, you're representing this, okay? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you want us to take to Rotary, or like, I'm supposed to be the ambassador for the elementary school? Then it got awkward last year when we were having these meetings between teachers didn't want to come to Susan's there, Susan's not coming with us, and it just got awkward, I just didn't want to do it.
We're liaison.
I got a really cool worksheet for that.
Okay.
Okay,
I sure do it.
we have one too, we can fill it out, but
Do you? Is it the one that Janet gave you? Is it the community engagement worksheet?
I've never seen it.
no.
Yeah, I don't know.
We haven't seen it.
We just, in the past, have signed up for
Oh, this is our own internal stuff.
Different
That you're talking about.
interest
yeah.
levels, like, I like to go to the Rotary meeting, and I want to go to this and that, and so we're, a face, and by I like to
We
go to the
were
Rotary
given a
meeting,
list
not
of
just-
things to say which you want to do.
Oh, yeah, assigning yourself to the.
Right, but then what does it mean?
But then-
What does it do?
Right,
Oh, yeah.
but then, that's all it
What
was.
What are the responsibilities for doing that?
Right.
What I'd like to see, to finish my sentence, is we have a true work session. That's a work session, it's not a self-evaluation, it's not a training, it's a work session that we pick a time, we email stuff to probably Michelle of topics that we want to hash out as board members at a true work session.
Yeah,
That way, if the stuff comes to Michelle or to Susan first and there's information that they have, they can bring, they can help answer those questions.
Absolutely.
We don't want to come to a meeting to bring all these ideas and then they have information not available. So if we, say a month ahead of time, maybe at our meeting on Thursday, we take 10 minutes of the agenda and we hash out a list of items that we want on a true work session.
Yeah, like I said, that was,
it's gonna be more than one.
And
I can see that.
That's fine, but
How often do you see other boards having work sessions?
It varies. Some, there's probably a minority that do it ad hoc. There's a whole bunch of boards that only meet once a month and it's a business meeting and that's it. Some of them will tack a work session onto that. Then there's the 2 meeting a month crew. There's plenty that out there that do that. And you get lunch, you have a business meeting, doing all the stuff that keep the district going, policies and all that stuff. And they have work sessions where, so they're toggling back and forth between their governance mode to a receptive mode where we're learning how to, assessment literacy, that's what we're learning. It's social emotional learning, whatever. And then they go back and they're making decisions. So they're toggling back and forth. I'm a big advocate for that. It's very time consuming.
the other thing I'd like to see in work sessions that we tried to do, which is what we call the listening sessions at school. Nobody knows each school, each administrator, whether this is teachers or just administrators in each school, I would like them, they presented us how the students are doing. I want a broader, I don't want charts and graphs over, and I know that's education, that's what you want to see, but I want a broader explanation of what's happening at the school. Everything from, hey, we're having issues with some parking to, we're doing great at this one class, whatever. We get charts and data that if you're an educator, is very important and interesting to you.
Right.
If you're on the school board, I've never been an educator, and you have all these symbols and things, and you're spending the whole time trying to catch up to what the meanings of all this stuff is. The charts really don't mean anything to me. I'd much rather get rid of the charts and have the person tell me in words what's happening, not throw charts up. They can reference a chart saying we're doing great in these subjects,
Right.
but don't break us down with 30 charts over characteristics or abbreviations that we're trying to catch up on what they are.
Well, you need to be educated on what those, you have to learn the lingo.
But when you hear them once a month or once every 6 months, I'm not gonna learn those things.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
Don't talk yourself
It's
down.
not the world I'm in, I mean,
Growth mindset.
and maybe I'm an outcast of this is not the world I'm in, but I see the whole picture, but breaking it down like that doesn't do much for me.
Well,
Charts
we
like
said-
this are pretty
Yeah.
explanatory to me. You read the sentence, you see the thing.
So where are you guys at in the superintendent evaluation process?
So we did our superintendent evaluation review, and every month I say, we need to have executive sessions so we can continue to support Susan along this path.
and we will have an
And
executive
then-
session this Thursday evening.
Oh, we did.
And my goals are our.
So you said
6:30.
The
The agenda that was sent out, have that on there.
Did it?
Yeah. Got an email yesterday.
I called 3 months ago, I email that.
Today.
Okay.
So
So
I
superintendent
would say,
and-
we have done an evaluation.
Yeah.
We are failing Susan by not supporting her on her path toward making those improvements or anything, like any other areas she might be interested in. And I see that as one of our deepest failures as a board. And I'm throwing that out there, I throw it out there pretty frequently. I don't think we are operating in enough support of Susan and her needs.
So Thursday, is it realistic that you could also have your evaluation calendar done? Her evaluation calendar laid out for the rest of the year?
I have the calendar, so.
Oh, yeah, so, then, you out calendar.
On that
I mean, I
front,
don't know if the
George's
dates
question.
are correct. The first date, or the next item is on October 17th. And this is the calendar
That would
from
be this
last
coming
year.
one.
Yeah,
That's our
So-
regular school board.
yeah, you guys need to, get that all penciled out, so you know, so everybody knows what the dates are for each of those stops along the way that we went through. Okay,
Should I email it to Aaron or to the whole board?
you're sharing the team.
Just this month I am, huh? Yeah, you can just, that'd be great.
Okay.
And if you want me to help pull that together, let me know.
And if there's dates we need to know about, it would be nice to.
Yeah, we're gonna
see
apply to
that
update the
later.
dates, because it was built off of,
Yeah,
we changed which.
We were doing third Thursdays for
Yeah.
our regular board meetings, now it's down to
so
second
you just look at
Thursday.
your annual calendar and you say, oh, we're gonna do it on these days, so amen, and off you go. It doesn't mean, I can do it by looking into your calendar, I create those calendars for boards, you do the same thing.
Well, and we have the outline that you provided us with those, we've already missed at least one of them as a board, like we just didn't do it, so we have to catch up.
You can catch up and
We own
awesome. I'm just looking at the clock here.
In the next 3 months, I don't know if this is a request, or I guess I just can't tell Susan what I did, as I mentioned. Eric Flanagan showed me at the elementary school that all the wood chips and stuff they put in the courtyard out there. It's like, wouldn't this be great if we do something? So I went and got a sponsor, and I got a bunch of water tanks to make like raised beds and stuff out of. So Wilco's providing all that with an annual $300 a year annually, if we just put their sign up. So I had not responded to that, I was gonna ask you Thursday, but all we have to do is put a 3 by 5 foot sign that says Wilco in the courtyard, and they will give us all the water tanks that we want to use to make raised beds, and provide $300 a year.
And what we have to think about, and what we have to have a conversation about, is I know that, the school is not, and Joey are not consistently gung-ho on putting in raised beds, just to put in raised beds, that in 2 years you're gonna have to tear out because nobody's using them.
And these would be contained water tanks.
Right, I
So
understand.
Eric sent
but-
something out, I'm like, you know, wouldn't it be great if we do this? I just went out and called Wilco, say, we need this.
Yeah,
So,
and,
but I haven't done anything about it yet.
yeah, and part of that is a facilities department that doesn't want to be constantly cleaning up and taking their time to be able to do that. It's not out of the realm of possibility, it's just gotta be a bigger, look to make sure that,
And that's why I haven't done
we're
anything.
taking
yet.
That
But
We have to
but I appreciate
offer.
that, that's an awesome offer.
Conversation.
That's an awesome offer.
So, what do you need to get done in the next 6 months? So, it's middle of October.
That's kind of rude to
It's
bring
April.
that, it's already the middle of October.
I'm just trying to,
When
All right.
when are elections coming for?
Next May.
you're gonna.
So-
Yes, so there are 3 of us on the board who are up for reelection next year,
In the next 6
but
months.
that's not in the next 6 months, it's slightly,
Just a little bit.
Within the next 6 months, I would like there to be a better form that has responsibilities of the school board. Once you're elected, so like, I had ideas what I thought the school board did. I would like there to be a outline of what a school board member does, so if people are running for school board, they can go to the website, click on it, and have there might be something there, but I want it dumbified.
Yep.
Put less words.
You want it what?
Dumbified.
Dumb it down.
Sorry, I
So awesome that you just brought that up, because my colleague just created a one-pager, that very one.
Perfect.
Oh, really?
I want it dumbified.
I just talked to her today on that very subject, that's
Cool.
amazing.
That's great.
So it's already been made, he was in front of the district with a particular issue.
You should have
So
also,
we'll do some
tweak it
tweaks
to-
and make sure that you get it.
you should have also gotten like a binder or a notebook of some sort when you first started with all of that information in it also.
You got a folder
We got a
with
folder,
documents and an email with, all kinds of links.
and too many
Oh,
words,
right.
too many words and all that.
So in 6 months, we also will be, budget season as well.
April.
Yeah.
So those sorts of normal responsibilities, but we're talking outside of our normal responsibilities, right?
What about the strategic planning process? Where do you want to be in 6 months with that?
I'd like to have it started, we have something happening.
in 6 months, we should have been able to make considerable progress.
So you want to be in process.
Yes,
Well, and we need to be.
yes.
Otherwise,
I-
it's just kicking down the road.
Well, the other part of it is we've got other things that hinge on
Right.
it as well. So, yeah,
I think, I mean, ideally, in the time frame and speed with which I'm used to working, we would be well done with the whole process by then and already starting to implement some of those things. So if that's realistic,
yeah, and that, I mean, we just have to see.
yeah, I mean, I definitely would
yeah.
want that approved before we approve the budget, because it would be very difficult to approve the budget before we approve
Oh, that's,
that.
Even though we've done it year after year,
To
right?
make sure we're aligning.
I don't see that being done in 6 months, it'd be great to be started, I think it's a longer process, but
Yeah, it should be, it won't, I mean, that's okay. You're gonna be working, but you're definitely gonna be in progress, that's an achievement. Okay, and then this time next year, in 12 months,
I'd like the plan done this time next year. I think a year is a reasonable time frame.
strat plan done. Will you commit to doing a self-assessment?
Yes,
With a plan, it'd be less frustrating.
and actually, let's see, 6 months, I can't remember our timeline. In 6 months, we might need to be done with your assessment also. I think actually it would probably be more like 8, so
Yeah,
definitely
I
within
did.
12 months that we would have done
I
Susan's
could
again.
evaluate the supervision.
Okay, thank you.
Here's what you stuff.
Over the next 12 months, I'd like to have a subcommittee with maybe a contractor to do an updated facilities, not a plan assessment, an updated facilities.
And Joey is a contractor,
Okay,
he can do it.
okay.
So, yeah, but I heard that from, the last time too, that, that was something that was high on the board's radar, if we wanna make sure that is done. So, yeah, absolutely.
And our technology review, I would say within 12 months.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's,
we get one of those
We
every
do that
year.
every year. We do
yep,
such,
I agree.
Vince, our technology team is fantastic.
And there's plans in the work that we need to follow through with, like, Joey was looking into Windows in high school and there
And we've
was.
got information to share to learn.
That's in our board packet for Thursday.
I blocked out my email, so I don't.
Okay,
Okay, that's,
yeah, no, perfect timing, perfect timing.
I'm stopping you there, this is a lot. Okay. Okay, so just to recap, and you will get a document, I strike all this. So in 3 months, you are going to, in the next 3 months, you're going to be starting your strategic planning process. Yeah, you're going to research consultants, start planning for long-range facilities. Maybe some of you can attend annual convention, that'd be really cool. Attend roadshow, you really should. And it really, this is gonna be an important legislative cycle. It's gonna have profound impacts on education for the next several years.
So do you know when and where that is?
I do.
You
Give
do?
me 1 second.
I think I only lost the first rate.
I forwarded the emails to you.
Did you? Okay. What'd you say, Susan?
I was telling him, I said, unless the PERS rates, which we'll talk about a little bit tomorrow,
Oh, I did see
eat
that.
up all the increase that
Yeah.
we're looking to get, so, yeah.
So give you more money.
I'm hoping that's not-
Let's hope
It's
not.
gonna turn out to be that way, but,
I remember those days back in what was it, 2014, 2015, anyway, that's right. So plan work sessions, and there's a lot embedded in that, you identified a few issues, but for doing the type of work, particularly around accountability and using data, that's stuff that goes into work sessions, so I'll flush that out for you. You're gonna, this Thursday, you're gonna be doing superintendent goals and establishing your superintendent evaluation calendar. In the next 6 months, you will evaluate the superintendent, and we'll do a 1-pager with the role of the board. You might be able to do that in the next 3 months, we'll see. And then, you will be in progress with your strategic planning, and this time next year, strategic planning will be done. You'll, conduct a board self-assessment, look like this, only the data will be all different, looks awesome. long-range facilities assessment will be complete and a technology assessment.
So I have one more thing to add in a question. Okay, I want your opinion. I don't feel that our legal counsel is helping Susan the way they should. If it was a private sector, the attorney would find, I'd fire him. So I'm curious,
Are these my attorneys?
This is not my stance.
this is me asking, there was an issue with the no trespass letter that was changed multiple times, and the attorney's stance was, well, it's my job to review the letter and not do it. And I'm thinking, we have an issue, Susan's an educator, she's not an enforcement, that's not her area. Legal counsel,
I'm sorry, what's the purpose of the letter?
there was a no
No
trespass.
trespass.
There was
Be
a,
careful what you're saying.
Yeah, it's probably, it's not.
well, I'm not naming any name, okay, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know if I can continue or not, I guess I don't know, because I'm just, general statement, I don't know. Look at Erin, she's the ruler today, can I continue or do I stop?
I think the topic has been mentioned in public session, but we're getting really close to
okay,
the
so,
danger zone.
someone had to be trespass, yeah, I don't know, I would get a second opinion, from other legal counsel. That would be my recommendation. I mean, so if I was a school board member advising my superintendent, I would say, hey, maybe we need a second opinion, why don't you not go to SBA? God, I hope it was no SBA.
I just don't feel that Susan was represented well, as our board, as a board member, our job was to back Susan up, and I don't think she was backed up. And I don't know how much more to say, so I'll just stop with that, but that was my,
Yeah, we don't want to get into all of it, but, yeah, it's second opinion, sure.
So I have a comment about the, board evaluation, board assessment. You know, Ryan and I were asked to do that last year. Oh, no, it was the superintendent's assessment. We had been on the board for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So as far as the board assessment, we could possibly be in the same position, you know, unless all the board members run and redo it again. It seems to me like it would be more valuable done before a term ends than after a new one starts, because Ryan and I were in like,
the same day we were sworn in, we voted for a chair. We were voted in and then had to vote for the chair of the board. When we just got sworn in, then the next topic was vote for the chair.
Yeah.
So to my point, it seems to me like superintendent evaluation and board self-evaluation should be done before summer, because then new members won't be asked to do something that is,
I think that's.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's very good.
Because we were like deer in the headlights,
I agree.
you know, we
Yeah.
had no idea, so our input really wasn't representative or valuable
I
to
didn't do
me.
it, I have no valuable input, I've been here a month. I don't think I did.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my suggestion.
So
That's a good
I
idea.
just think
And it
we
is
need to-
our the big hearing, I always think of it, got the big hearing, because there's 3 and 2, 3 and 2.
So every 2 years, we're possibly turning over board members, and
Yeah.
so I don't really feel like I mean, it takes a while to get a handle on things, and to learn all the books, and
Yes.
you know what I mean? To feel like my input might possibly be considered or valuable, because otherwise, like,
Yeah,
why do it?
I completely understand and agree.
You mentioned the legislative branch of
November 4th.
in Lynn County is November 4th.
Yes, Aaron gave me that, that's
Okay.
great.
I have it.
And we have to pre-register, right?
Right.
Yes.
Same thing about the superintendent evaluation, still, what is the appropriate time to pick the chair of the school board, voting, because the
It has
day,
to be done after the new members are sworn in.
but is it,
Yeah,
that
it
the same
happens
thing?
right at that
I mean,
moment.
is that the time you do it, you get sworn in, then you vote for chair?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, legally it has to be done at that.
alright.
You're sworn in, your term starts.
Because otherwise the chair
July
would, like if it was done before the new members were sworn in, then it would no longer be representative of the current board.
True.
1. And there are some boards who do that.
Okay.
But just thinking that it would be nice to postpone that for a month or 2.
Or till the end of the meeting.
That would work too.
So I want to be mindful of your time. So next steps, so I will take this and size it into a document, and I will pass it back to the chair, probably the city board secretary, and then you guys can take another look at it, pare it down, or add, subtract it as you see fit. But that's your game plan based on your responses to this assessment, not that.
Yeah.
To your
I was gonna say,
favorite-
what
to
way
your
to
favorite
go?
guidance. No, I brought this because if we wanted to talk about data, so, and, well, we can talk about strategic planning later, but, yeah, and I mean, on that subject, I would be happy to give you a proposal on what that would look like. I'm working with the whole school district right now, which is about, since, actually, I think it's smaller than you guys.
Smaller, I think.
Yeah, but I'm doing planning with them, and it's a lot of fun. I love doing planning. It's exciting. So,
Is that something you can send a proposal, or something that's, because Susan has a nomination on the board.
and I think I'm gonna be doing it with LC too, so it's like,
Okay, I just signed it for the legislative, so I'll try to be there. My plan is,
I'll be here.
I'll be there.
Cool.
I'll try. I didn't look at my calendar yet, but
sure.
Yeah, it's, it's the live, so we gotta respect that.
sure.
Before, before,
Is what?
the night before, night before the election.
Well, that's not the night of.
The ballots are gonna be put in, the ballot, my wife and the ballots, so we put in line for that, so.
I'll send you documents. Thank you for your time and your effort doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you for,
Thank you.
Now you have your very, very long drive.
oh yeah, my terrible memories.
After we get
You
the-
need to walk back
That's why I like working with you guys. He was awesome.
I thought it was our struggling personalities.
So are we adjourned?
We're
Yes,
pretty
we
good
are
board.
adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're a pretty good board.
And we'll see you Thursday,
You are
6:30, executive session.
We all bring something different to the table.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be good.
Is
Yeah, you would be the one that knows that, yeah.
This text meeting is, how we're gonna call.
You.
Is your communication, your emails and
I
process?
never did my two-step verification, authentication, so they'd lock me out of the email.
There's usually somebody there myself.
Okay, good, so I can go.
I could be like,
just-
that's why I'm dreading stealing
Yeah,
a.
there's usually, they try and
It's the
stagger
glory
it.
of growing old.
Most of the schools starting at.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Then what they do is,
Okay.
have people.
See you Thursday, Joe.
That's when they start.
6:30.
Yeah, 6:30, executive session.
Yeah, I just, I just ignored Trevor.